gymnastics team, things have been rosy against the Auburn Tigers. In the spotlight again tonight, the Tide hope to continue their dominance. Sparks are sure to fly in Tuscaloosa. It is a rainy evening in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, but even with tornado warnings in the area, it hasn't kept what is expected to be a sold-out crowd away from Coleman Coliseum for one of the biggest in-state rivalries in all of college sports, as tonight, the 5th-ranked Auburn Tigers take on the 11th-ranked Alabama Crimson Tide. Running up there with you inside Coleman Coliseum, where Sarah Patterson's squad, 4-time NCAA champions, are hosting Jeff Thompson and the Auburn Tigers. He was the SEC Co-Coach of the Year. And with more, here's Lori Strong-Ballard.
Bernie, Alabama and Auburn have met 105 times. In 96 of those, Auburn has lost. In fact, the last time they won was way back in March of 1979, which just happens to be when Auburn head coach Jeff Thompson was a senior in high school. And he says it's time for a change.
96 times Auburn and Alabama have faced in gymnastics, and 96 times Alabama has won. It was really heartbreaking back in January when Lindsey Puckett nails her floor routine and she nails her last pass, and we were like, yeah, we finally did it. And then they handed me the score sheet and I was like, you gotta be kidding me, 25 thousandths of a point? And that's the closest it's been in that time period. You know, it would be special, just really special for these girls to be able to do something that hasn't been done in 30 years.
Auburn is currently ranked 5th in the nation. They are having their best season ever. And head coach Jeff Thompson told us 10 years ago when he got this job, it was in part from a recommendation from Sarah Patterson, the head coach at Alabama, who said that if Auburn eventually wanted to beat the Tide, this was the man for the job. But tonight, Coach Patterson says this will be one tough fight.
There's nothing better than having two very competitive programs, and I think we make each other better. In our first meet of the season, it was narrowly decided by .025 of a point, but I think both teams excelled. And when the meet was over, I think everyone felt like they had won.
Consistency will be key tonight, and the great news for Auburn is their senior class has been almost dead on. They've hit 63 out of 64 routines this year. They are led by Lindsey Puckett, who's currently ranked 5th in the all-around in the nation. And the Tide will be leaning heavily on their consistency from junior Ricky Lebergern, who has competed in the all-around every meet this year and has scored no less than a 39 every time out. Over 12,000 fans will be here, Bernie. It will be electric, and the Tide want win number 97.
Well, the crowd is already getting excited about this dual meet. When we come back, it'll be Alabama on vault and Auburn on bars. Two highly ranked teams go at it from Tuscaloosa when we come back. It is the Tide and the Tigers battling in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Sarah and Dave Patterson, 5 times they've won the SEC title, and they're coming off a season high 49-4 on the vault.
We have a big vaulting team in terms of their vaults are huge, they're far away from the horse, and I think the judges have rewarded us for that. And in last meet we were much more consistent with our landings, and I think when you add those two things together, you can post high scores on vaulting.
And Kayla Hoffman's been out of this lineup for most of the year as she recovers fully from a shoulder surgery in the fall. She's back in for the 2nd time this year, and Sarah said they are a much stronger vaulting team with her, and this could become their best event.
Up first, the freshman for Alabama, Geralen Stack-Eaton.
Looks like a full, oh, beautiful. Good start off vault for the Tide here. This vault is scored out of a perfect 10. She has nice height and distance, and we heard Coach Sarah Patterson talking about how strong and how powerful this vaulting team is. And again, once again, great landing.
What a start, 9.9. As for Auburn and the Tigers, they're getting set to battle on the bars, and they're the 11th ranked team in the country on this apparatus.
This is Auburn's most improved event this year. Carmen Nelms is in the lineup for the first time since the start of the season. She replaces Chrissy Voss, who had a very scary crash in warm-up today. They will have to mentally rebound from that situation.
And Kendall Swartz, the freshman from Tallahassee, Region 8 bars champion in 2004, will lead things off.
It has very beautiful long lines and an excellent toe point. Shows off nicely in this routine. Handstand half pirouette pack salto to the low bar. The gymnast must show two bar transitions. She met that requirement. Back up to the high bar, a little short on that cast a handstand. A little bit muscled in her stalder. The final skill before the dismount nails the toe on front half.
Swartz has already won 2 bars crowns this season as a freshman.
This is called a pack salto. It's basically a back flip from the high bar to the low bar. Precision and timing are very important to be able to re-grasp in control on that low bar.
And a 9.725 for Kendall Swartz. Here's Kayla Hoffman. Made her debut last week against Florida after battling injuries all season long. An All-American on the vault as a freshman.
She won the vault 7 times last year with a career high of a 9.975. Excellent job. Look at the distance she gets from that vaulting table. She lands way down the other end of the mat. She has pretty good technique on this. Take a look. As she explodes from the vaulting table, you see a distinct straight body line, and then she creates the twist. That helps her get the height and distance and keeps her square on the landing mat.
And another fantastic score, 9.9 for Kayla Hoffman. More rotation 1. It is linked to Pink Night here in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, as the Tigers battle the Crimson Tide in Coleman Coliseum. And up next, for Auburn, Lindsey Puckett. She is having a phenomenal senior season, and she's garnered 17 individual titles so far.
Every year I've seen her confidence build, and with that, her gymnastics has gotten better and better. Combination of skills here, giant full, giant half. She'll head down to the low bar, shoot to handstand. Judges are looking for those vertical positions in all of the handstands. So far, this routine is very clean, but she doesn't have one of those major release moves, and that means that she probably will have a difficult time breaking into those 9.9 scores, even with a nailed dismount like that. She got the job done. This is a consistent routine that Lindsey knows she can hit every time out. And that's a great feeling for the team to know that this is a sure thing. Beautiful job nailing the dismount, a little leg separation in the air.
And a score of a 9.825. And on the vault, Morgan Dennis from Alabama.
One of the most powerful vaulters in the country right now. She's ranked 8th. Uchenko full again, a huge distance. Look how far down the mat she's landing. Beautiful height, nice and explosive from the vaulting table. Legs are glued together. The one deduction I would take here is maybe a slight pike down right before the landing.
And not much of a deduction at all there, 9.950 for Morgan Dennis.
Great score for Alabama on the vault. This is a season best, about 0.3 higher than what they've been averaging. Nice start by Stack-Eaton, a season high 9.9 and a finish with a 9.95.
Auburn's A.J. Mills up next. She's had a ton of confidence her senior season.
I guess it's kind of been building since my freshman year, because I was relatively inconsistent my freshman year, built more confidence my sophomore year, and especially with the repetition we do in practice, putting yourself in the mental state that you need to be in when you compete. Just all our rehearsal, we're prepared. Each day is just like another day at McWhorter.
AJ has stepped into a leadership role this year. Last year, Auburn graduated one of their best all-time athletes, Julie Dwyer. She was the star of this team. And head coach Jeff Thompson told me this year, he said there was an opportunity for several athletes to step up into that position, and both AJ Mills and Lindsey Puckett stepped into that leadership role. Excellent bar routine from start to finish. Nice landing as well on the double layout. Now she does have one of those major release elements. It's called a piked Jaeger, and this is an E-level skill right here. Little separation as she releases, but she does a nice job of taking it nice and high above the bar. She directly connects that to a shoot over, slightly bent elbows as she catches the bars on the shoot over.
A.J. Mills a score of 9.850, so Auburn a 48.85 on the bars.
6 hits for Auburn. That is great under this kind of pressure, especially since they had a little bit of a scary spill in warm-up. A few tenths were given away with missed handstands and steps on landings as well.
Jeff Thompson giving the Tigers set. They will be moving towards the vault, while the Crimson Tide, who lead after rotation number 1, will head to the bars.